Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. Welcome to the Dream Unfinished YouTube show. So I want to make an introduction today to somebody new to TDU's YouTube show, but not new to TDU. We're so happy to be with wonderful vocalist and administrator, Jasmine Wilson. Thank you, Jasmine, for being here and joining us. And my name is Sarah Overton. I'm the production manager for The Dream Unfinished. We'll be talking about a really exciting piece by composer Jon Jang, The Pledge of Black and Asian Allegiance. So let's talk a little bit about Jon Jang. He is a Chinese-American composer who is living in San Francisco now. He's a pianist, and he composed the Chinese-American Symphony, which was commissioned by the Sacramento Philharmonic Orchestra. And it paid tribute to the Chinese laborers who built the first transcontinental railroad in the United States. I thought it was a fun fact about him. He started piano at the age of 19 and then got into Overton 2 years later. So for anybody who is thinking that, you have to start piano at age 6 or it's over for you, that's absolutely not the truth.
That's super impressive.
Yeah, I mean, just ridiculously talented.
My goodness.
And he and Francis Wong founded Asian Improv Records as a response to the redress and reparations movement. So let's talk a little bit about that word improv before we dig into pieces. You had mentioned it earlier, and for our non-musician friends out there, Jasmine, can you tell us what improvisation is?
Improvisation is probably my favorite way to express myself through art. Improvisation, it is a word that you see in a lot of different areas. Sometimes you see it in theater context, or maybe you think of Saturday Night Live. But in the context of music, there's a rich history and culture behind improv that I won't go into. But I think one of the cool things about this art form is that rather than reading music that has been pre-composed, this is an art form that is really rooted in responding to what's happening in the moment. And so improvisation can be something that happens individually. Maybe if I were singing by myself, for instance, I am being moved by something that I hear in my mind and I'm expressing it. That expression through voice can take on a lot of different forms. Maybe it's sung, maybe it's spoken text, maybe it's just different sounds. Similar kinds of things happen with instruments where they might be playing various notes. They might also experiment with other sounds that their instruments can make that aren't as traditional. And all of these different sounds can come together to create a unified piece. Sometimes that is a piece of a jam and people get together just to shred and make sound. I think one of the most common places that a person experiences improvisation is in jazz. Improvisation is definitely at the core of that, especially if you're seeing a person solo, right? But improvisation exists in a lot of different traditions beyond that of jazz. Beyond, there's also versions of improvisation that happens in a more classical or contemporary music scene or context, also exist truly in traditions across the world. And one of the reasons why I think it's relevant for this conversation is because when you are not bound by a specific system of writing or system of words, and you're just listening to one another and creating a song or creating a story really in the moment, there can be some amazing opportunities for some cross-cultural sharing. So I love improvisation for that reason. You can really bring in a lot of voices and it's a lot of intense listening and it can turn out to be something cool. I know that we are coming to an end, so I won't talk anymore because I could talk forever about improv.
No, we're really coming up on time here. And I want to respond to something that you said too, because this piece that we're going to share a little bit of, The Pledge of Black Asian Allegiance, Improv and Jon Jang, I mean, go together. They're just inseparable from one another. It's inseparable from his activism, and also in this piece, there's spoken word poetry, which Jasmine, as you and I know, is a long-standing tradition in the Black community.
Yes,
Um,
I'm a
and
poet too, so I speak very much to that as well. Yes.
Right, absolutely. So just kind of the intersection of these two things is just really interesting in this piece. And the spoken word poetry, they're talking about the meeting of Malcolm X and Yuri Kochiyama. So it's just a wonderful, wonderful blending of these things. So I'm going to share my screen quickly as we just bring in a few minutes of this wonderful piece of music. And so this is from the East Wind e-zine that has shared this with us. To death in her lap, in Harlem. When Malcolm came to Yuri, Yuri saw the truth, not lies, not the angry, hateful man of the mass media. She saw the self-educated warrior who talked about Japanese and Chinese national struggles. She heard anti-colonial. She heard unity. She heard liberation, not integration. I'm going to stop it, unfortunately, at the end of that phrase there. But that was the composer himself on the piano, Jon Jang. I mean, Jasmine, quick reactions to that piece?
Oh, it was great. It's hard to sit still, right? I just wanted to move and dance to it, and I think that's another part of improv that I like is that it can be freeing not just for the people playing, but people who are in the audience. That they can just feel the music truly in their bodies, and there's something that's so relieving, especially nowadays when we're in front of a screen and we need to be seated and focused. It's nice to have a mode to just reconnect with our bodies.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, it was great. I really enjoyed the spoken word, the music of the various players, as well as him on the piano.
Yeah, yeah, and it's such a fantastic piece of music. There's a lot of those improvisational solos, and like you said, you have a foundation for something, whether it's in music, you have a passion for a movement, you have a knowledge base of certain communities or certain issues, and you improvise. You get people together, and you form an idea together. You form a new conversation, a new piece of music, a new sound, a new thought, and you go forward with that. And I think that this piece is just such a wonderful example of how that's done both in music
Mhm.
and in life.
And real quick, Sarah, I
Go ahead.
think in addition to what you said, that one of some of the most powerful moments, not just in music, but in movements, period, are those ones that are unscripted and the way that you respond in the moment. And so often we think of if we don't do things exactly as planned, that we've made a mistake. Instead, I think improvisation helps you reframe that to see where's the opportunity.
Absolutely. Beautifully said. Jasmine, thank you so, so much
Thank you
for
again.
joining us today. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Please drop a comment if you enjoyed today's show. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. We'll be sure to send out the YouTube channel where you can hear that full fabulous piece, Pledge of Black Asian Allegiance. You can contact Jon Jang directly for the sheet music. So thanks again for tuning in. Please come back as next week. We'll be exploring activism within and without music, and we'll be happy to see you wherever TDU goes. All right. Thanks everyone again.